Hello, hello, crafty friends. Oh, come on, don't do that. There we go. Yikes. It's a little wobbly, guys. Get my weight on here. Looks decently straight, but you know, hey. A little shaky there. Now let's hope that it is straight and we can take a look at some stuff that I really, you know, I have this idea and it's alive in my head, but I don't know what it's going to look like in the end. I know it's a crazy way to craft. Okay, so we should be getting rid of that echo. Oh, yay, Barbara. What's your favorite so far? I can't wait to hear. It seems like this last 10 days of the month before a new catalog releases is really hard. Because, like, we've had to switch to create, and then I have things like this that we have to take a look at and see with what we can do or not do. There we go. Well, hi, Miss Leslie. So I'm really curious to know, out of the new catalog, what did you like? Got to get my fancy chair up here so I can kind of sit down. And you can see I'm heating up something right now. Get my little trusty dusty wand here. And I wanted to play with these beautiful products from the not the stamp of the month, what am I saying? Product of the month. Talk about going back to the world of close to my heart there really quick. I have like this hot mess. I don't even know why this is such a hot mess. Yes, I do. I'm always creating. So I have some scrap paper here, and you guys know I was playing with the sunflower paper because it's part of the cards kit for next month. I have some scraps here. I have some ideas, but I'm not, ideas sparked off of our, what do we do? Paper pumpkin last time. And I have this, and I said we were going to do Moonlit Fauna, but I forgot about that because I got distracted with this, right? Y'all can relate to squirreling all over. Got some pieces here. And if you don't remember, this paper is not double-sided, but it's all purled. So, and you have two of each pattern. And I wanted to play, you know, kind of like play with a little bit of things here. I just wanted to see on the side note, right? Here we go. This is really going to be what works. Does this work? Does that work? Not work? And to see what it comes out to be. It might be nothing. It might be a lot of fun. Those look pretty pumpkin-y. Right? Maybe not. Maybe if I can see my note. So anyway, like I said, then I have the Lustrous Leaves, which is actually what's out here to kind of play with. And I was thinking that this could probably do something cool, right? Well, maybe if I can get it out of here. And Illustrious Leaves has some more of those stencils, which I'm not sure why I'm getting stuck here. So here's your stencils. And again, you know, it does the same. Oh, I've got to tape that down. It does the same thing. There's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you line up just by putting that little notch on there. Hey, Di Di. Hey, Bernice. It came yesterday. Awesome. And so I got these, and like I said, I have no idea what we're doing. We're just, okay. I do know what I am doing for this, though, is I had, oh boy. Let me grab that in specific. I did not trim. I had some extra, oh brother. Well, this could be a real pain. There we go. I had some extra of these cute, a little wider. I think they're like inch and change. So here's the leaf, and I just thought, wouldn't this be fun to play with? Cut me some leaves out. Yeah, so we are going to do some of these just because I want to see what these look like on white, and then die cut them out and while we're doing a few other things, because you know this thing takes forever to heat up. But here's this. We're going to try our copper foil. I always have loved rose gold and copper, so I was super excited to see this. Having my tools on the other side of me is really going to be a pain. I don't think I like this setup. I scared myself very badly. I'm getting ready to cut a new idea from Susan for easy scrapbook pages that you know, you only have like 3 layouts as opposed to having, you know, she can do anywhere, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of a pack of paper with some additional cardstock. We're just talking about, you know, let's do some easy stuff and see what that looks like, right? Oh, you know, I did show you guys how to cut this, and I do need to have this out. I might kill my blade, but let's just get this out and ready. And then I got that new flat. What do we call that? My brain has died with this cut. By the way, this is another way to measure out. I need to get another box out to put these into. So that's going to be nice. There we go. Ooh. Center, flop, and cut. Look at how nice this is, right? Put that there. Watch the storm. You guys having a storm today? Very possible. A lot of things happen in this world that I'm not aware. So I'm going to just do 2 rounds of the leaves. And then I may or may not venture into some more, but right now we're just going to do 2 rounds because obviously I can make 20,000 things and not have any of it be good. Oh, before we dodge out of here, let's scoot these to the side. I just want to see how wide this is. Okay, so I did not cut it down. So I discovered with this particular one that you can do 5.5, but as you see, when you do 5.5, it does not like to come out. So we're just going to cut, what was that, a 1/16 off? Oh my goodness, you guys. Wow, here I am, worried about smoke in the air, and you guys are like trying to do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. There's our little BB. Shiny side down. Am I doing this right? I always have this. I get going and then I'm like, oh yeah. I feel like that should be shiny side up. have this gut feeling. Let me get these out. Yes, it's going to need to be flipped around. Wow, this doesn't want to do what it's supposed to do now because it's now kind of warm. Maybe. All right. Let's get our, I don't know, this is, maybe I am doing it right. Well, we'll try this, but I think this is wrong. But this paper doesn't want to cooperate very much, so we're going to use this to hold the foil down, slide that on. So Leslie, I know that you got your hot foil machine and you've been playing with it. Do this, you put your cute little this, and I know that I have this on there. I know that some people take it off. It hasn't bothered me enough to bother taking it off. Ooh, that doesn't want to, I have obviously a ton of stuff on that other side. Run this through while keeping our other plates close at hand. So I had to panic because I'm going to cut this other workshop from Susan, and it's going to be super cute, but I got the paper down, had all this stuff, but I had to move some things around and I could not find that paper. I was in a dead panic and I just found it before we started here, so that's a relief. That off. There we go. You know, and we're going to save this because we're going to play with this for a second too, because we have that reverse foil die. So we're going to try this out and see what it looks like when using the other side of this, but I still want to do, whoops. So I'm just going to leave that on. Okay, the copper's a hit. Look at those cleaned. Super nice. Now, if I wanted to, I could color those in using these, and you would start this off by putting this down over the top. Which this is all supposed to line up nicely, and you can see there she is. And obviously you're going to need to really like line up. You don't have a thing here to notch off of because the paper's not large enough to put the notch in there. My basic tools are over here on the other side. I just have to stand this whole time. So put that on. Just going to draw that line there so I know, and then everybody should by now have at least a roll. Oh, right, that makes sense. That's a good idea, Leslie. And take your Post-it note tape and tape this down. Just kind of like that. So we'll come back to this. This is kind of where we're going to go in a second here. And we'll run this through after we do the next one. You know, I'm thinking about this in my head. The is it vanilla cardstock would probably be really lovely with this. Oh shoot. Okay, so that's on a little early. That's probably going to do a little bit more curling and stuff like that. And we're going to do that. All right, so let's find out if what I think I saw actually works. Because, you know, may not have seen things right. And it looked like somebody had taken their alcohol markers, because this is pretty slick. So you're gonna need to have something. Let's do a pumpkin up here in the corner. I don't wanna. And done. What I'm doing here. I need this to be closer to me, guys. I'm not, my eyesight is not that hot. I was just curious about how this would kind of work. And I'm going to go back kind of with my lighter color. So the alcohol markers do go down on this paper. And then we're going to come back, and you wanted to keep into this color scheme. Some of the shading does show up. Okay. Quick break. Ooh. I'm smelling me some marker here. Do this, and then we're going to take out the big plate, and we're going to the reverse plate, and I'm going to show you why you want to have the reverse plate. And remember, when you're rolling, that fast is not the name of the game. So while it takes me 2 or 3 seconds to do our dies, it takes me a little bit longer to do this. This is a heavier die. And I'm going to put that on my cooling mat. Start this. Whoops, I'm not going to start it again. One must plug it in first. And then I'm going to grab, shoot, maybe I'm going to grab it. What did I do with it? See what I mean? 2 seconds on my desk and it's gone. I just had that plate out. Well, oh, here it is. I was like, we're going to do this, but maybe we're not going to do this. One of the ways to get the most out of your hot foil, this is another snug one. I had these extra and I ran out of everything, is to put this in here. See? Put that down, stamping upside down. Though I'm not totally sure that matters, but maybe I'm wrong. So you got that, so we're going to let that cook. Peel that off. Look at those pretties. And if you wish to die cut them as they are, because you know they're pretty, or you could choose to be coloring them in via markers. I think that fall is my favorite time of the year. It's like this last burst of color before fall or winter sets in. And I just think my friends in West Virginia, Leslie has a place up in Canaan Valley, and Canaan is just absolutely stunning in the fall. Everybody should go. I remember when we first took Diane there. Oh. Hi, babe. And my Jeffrey's home. He went and worked out. Now, of course, this is, let's get these cut. So, quickly cut and come back with my, oh guys, these are beyond my expectation. Check that out. Look how pretty those are. Oh, I'm in love. I am in love. This is really, really pretty, you guys. So not to lose those, we're just going to set them up over here. And we're going to keep that foil right here. And we're going to have another one of our white pieces of paper. And let's see what happens with that. And we're going to go back to our coloring. Isn't this fun, guys? So now you know, at least with this, you can alter the paper. Look at that guy. I mean, that's really pretty. Oh, that seemed like that was fast. Whoops. Oh, I put it on before it was ready. Now, do be cautious. I have discovered, and I think I've shared before, that you can overheat that plate and get a lot of bleed off or transfer of extra foil to places you may or may not want. I don't mind the extra because to me it looks like it's being distressed. Now, the one thing I'll say is there's a little bit more play in this. And by play, I mean that the ink stays wet a little bit longer, which is good as well as bad depending on how much you practice and kind of go over stuff. I'm going to add the light orange into here just because I want to see what it looks like. And you can take these, or you should be able to. Now, I have to confess, I have not done a lot of color blending with their markers. Come back over with the that's too much space, needs to have the brush. And it changes the original color laid down, that bright orange. Which is very pretty, actually. So you get a little bit of the orange in that. Look at that. So now we know that we can do that with this paper. Question answered, right? So on this hot plate, because it is I've tried to do this with like my Swiss Dots plate where I flipped it over and did it from that direction. Yes, Linda, that is warm. And it does a great job in transferring it, and it actually adds, because the heat is not consistent on the bottom, it actually adds some other texture to it that you may not be expecting. Has anybody got a hot, what do they call this? Reverse? I have a fancy name for this. The reverse hot foil die. Has anybody gotten that in yet? And in my mind, I feel like there's a couple things you could do with this reverse foil. So we're going to take a look at what it looks like. And we're not going to heat this up again. We'll just let it cool down. I believe oh, look at that. That you could then take your blending brushes. You got it, but you haven't tried it. Well, now you get to see what it looks like. Look at that. And you could take, that's off. Just want to make sure that's off. And I'm actually going to put the protective plate over the top of that just to be safe while it cools down. Okay. Off to our markers again. Actually, let's do the brush and the light color first. And this works just like the color doesn't stay on the metal. the foil. So even if you go outside the lines, you're going to be able to wipe it off. And it actually sucks the paper sucks the ink back to it, which is interesting to watch. Look at that. Now, in doing this, you can kind of see in this, let me see how this works. So there's no transfer from my finger, and it's not colored on around the leaf, so that whatever happens here, it just draws it back in. And you can see that there's even some shading in this green. Oops, I need to bring that back to you guys a little bit. And yeah, so that's another really cool use. And then you could come back in with your darker green. The dark shows up a little bit more on the metal, so just be aware of that as you add some color into this to wipe right away. But you can see that you have yet another way to use your foil. And I'm glad, because this, you know, will give you more use to what you have, and I like having more use. So lighter colors work better on the foil. It doesn't show on the metal as much as dark does. And I also think that you don't even have to bother with what I'm doing here. I think that it's beautiful with the white showing through. Yeah. We're back into a heat wave here, and the problem with the heat wave brings the air is not moving, and then the smoke stays here. Yeah. So now you know, Leslie, what to do with this, and hopefully, I cannot wait to see some of the things that you create. Make sure to share them in the friends group, our Crafty friends group, because we all learn from each other. And so the orange plays a little differently, and you may want to stick with a smaller tip. And even having some white show through isn't a bad thing. It just adds kind of like some highlighting or some relief. And then I'll kind of show this a little bit closer. You guys see. What do you guys think of the usefulness of the reverse? I'm kind of excited to play with the larger pattern shape, like the Swiss dots and the plaid, that buffalo plaid that's going to be released in September, and just see where that is. So you can then cut this out and make it a card front, and it's really simple and pretty. I think you get a lot out of that. All right, so we did this. We found out that works. I don't think there's any others besides the pumpkins that I saw that could be colored, right? I mean, I suppose you could go and add color to the white flowers, but that's enough different. You could change the color on those leaves if you wanted to make them a little bit brighter. All right, so let's just kind of hang on to this a little bit over to here. And let's see what we can create with these cute little bugaboo pieces, because I'm just sure that we have to have something we can make with them, right? Doesn't look like quite the right. Yeah, that's not the right match for that. You guys are gone. Fired. I think we can get away with these two. And of course I'm going to do the lazy man way of doing the card. I tell you, I gotta get myself reorganized. I did a weekend Zoom class in here and everything got moved out of the way, which is why I can't find anything. Now on that one paper pumpkin card that has been shipped away, we had like these pieces, right, that you could fit. Oh, I wish I kept that relief now. So you could like do this. Complete scraps, guys. Look at that pretty. This looks like barn red. It's not the red, but I think it's paprika. Is there another sunflowery pattern? The smaller one looks better. So there you go. So it takes about 5 of these to do. Hello, Miss Scarlett. And what matters, of course, is the edges, right? Because the top and the bottom and the side, so that you don't, I tell you what, you guys, totally, ooh, that might be really pretty. I feel like doing some, I'm not going to worry about dimensionals. Dimensionals would be extremely pretty on this, and I've lost my little piece of, I had like a little scrap piece of paper in here I'm going to work on. Okay, so here we go. This is why my desk's a mess, tie-dye. I just throw things around. Hello, Regina. Good to see you too. And I'm going to put the bigger flower on the bottom. And see how I kind of this is not an exact science. Center-ish. How's that for a term? And not all of these pieces are probably cut correctly. So we'll have maybe some rectangles that aren't quite rectangles, maybe more of a trapezoid, if anybody remembers that term from, I think it's geometry. I had these and I didn't want them to go to waste. A little bit, not center-ish. I would be here telling me you can't see it from an airplane. And of course she's right. I tend to get in my head about making things look right. This paper is really pretty with the different color reds and stuff in it. You know, center is probably a good idea before. So don't push these center ones in yet. And these strips were from the workshop that I cut for next month for our Stamp It Your Way. And they're like 1 inch, well, 1 inch by 4 inches without even, you know, like knowing that. That's kind of what they are. And I had a different brick red. Where did that piece go? Right here. Okay, so I know that I'm going to need to move some pieces up and down here. I have my trusty dusty tool. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my original thought, was put the center in first and then come back and put these in. Might have to do a little adjusting, but I think if I have this centered, so I know this is 5.5, and half of 5.5 is going to be 2.5 plus, no wait, yeah, 2.5 and a little smidge. And this needs to be over the little smidge. All right, and then I need to then kind of like pull it a little bit over so that it's more centered on here. It has the borders about the same. Remember, we're into center-ish, and like I said, these are probably not exact, but because they're spaced out, it is not going to be so obvious if they're not exact. And look at that, pretty fall, right? My daddy said, "You're not making a watch." That's good. That's really good, Leslie. I haven't heard that saying before. So, did a little tie here. Now let's think about what I had cut out a bunch of Alright, so we're just going to grab our trusty dusty bail us out when we need a sentiment punch. Now this we will pop up. Let me think about, do I have a sentiment around here somewhere that could be quickly stuck in the middle of that? No, I always have sentiments here, but then I can't ever find them when I want them. Like, seriously. Oh, this is kind of pretty. Sending my whole heart at a time when the words fall short. That's actually, I think, from one of the Stampin' Up, but it doesn't fit very well. I wonder if just saying hi would fit. Yep. This is poetic. I say poetic petals. It's an interesting dice. The sentiments are great. I hope that doesn't sound too awful to you guys. I'm sitting here thinking about how that might have said. Perfect. Look at that. I do get excited when something looks great the first go around. And I think because there's a lot of brown in there, I'm going to not use my traditional black. Reach over all the junk I have in front of my inks. And, ooh, let's go with brown. Right? Sure, yeah. But that other saying, being along the line of fall, would be also very pretty to do. I feel like I should try to keep these together. There we go. Together is good, right? And then I had this other little Stamper Poo here, and I think that was Golden Glow. I'm gonna grab this. Just gonna add a little to the to this tag because it looks a little blah to me. So I'm just gonna see how. There we go. It just adds just a smidge of something in the background there that picks up the colors, the very pretty colors out of this. I'm going to grab my, and this will be our giveaway today. Stay tuned from sub. Now that we have the leaves out, I have been busy doing a bunch of editing and proofing. Now, that is far from being a circle, right? But y'all love me, and I know there's no judgment in this. And I'm going to take advantage of this edge here. It's nice and thick. And has anybody been to see the Odyssey in the theater? Would love to hear what you thought of it. I'm contemplating. I'm going to pay the money. Oh, I did this wrong. Oh well. I really don't know that I can fix that. Yeah, that's on. Sometimes things are on when they're on. So I've done this, and you know I love glue dots for anchoring this down. Just allows you to have tension in the ribbon that you otherwise will not get there, and not have to worry about it moving all over the place, and you don't have, oh shoot. I should be paying attention and not talking. I'm going to go like that. So you know what we're going to do to fix that? We're going to put this all the way over here. Anchor that down. Put the bow on the other side. And so if you wanted silly dots, let me make sure I got this straight across. Dump some numbers up as we see how this card is going to turn out. Look at that. Go ahead. You haven't seen it yet, but you all want to see it. So that's a family win there when you get something that everybody wants to see. I have seen some mixed reviews, so I wasn't really sure. Oh shoot. I wasn't really sure what anybody else who might have seen it had to say. All right. And I'm going to tie my bow right about there. So I am again going to anchor it so it's not so squirrely. And this is all inspired by that paper pumpkin card we did on 17. Paper pumpkin card that we did on, was it Monday? Yeah, gosh, I don't even know where this week has gone, you guys. I seriously... I'm going to finish my leadership class, and I really wish I could invite all of you guys to show up for the leadership, because you all have been inspirational and helpful and thoughtful with the paper pumpkin. Or paper pumpkin with my paper hugs thing that I've been trying to figure out, and I appreciate you all. So I am acknowledging you for your insight, expertise, and all that great stuff. Probably could have had a little bit more ribbon on the shorter side of this, if that makes any sense to you. So like I have this long huge tail here, but not much. I do like the gold with this. Fall looks so good with gold and copper. And then I love to switch to, look at that, you guys. And then in here somewhere I have some, oh my gosh, I do, look at these crazy dots. Look at that. So I have a 17, I have a 13, of course, Regina. 3 for Miss Scarlet. Anybody else playing? I don't have anybody exactamundo yet, but you never know. And I'm going to use a couple of colors. Now I'm not going to put this up on the tag because these are a little bit on the thicker side. If anybody has Apple TV, there is a show called Shrinking that's really, really good. And Ted Lasso's back on, so we're back to, oh, well, sugar shoot darn. And this will be better if I use this and not the scissors. The scissors are just too, actually it would be better if I used, the Stampin' Up! Does have this really cool tool. So just a few little sprinklies to add a little let's sew to it. And going, gone, because everybody's had enough time to put up a number, and this is going to go to Regina. Yeah, both shows are really good if you have Apple TV. We kind of like rotate, and we like turned off the Apple for a while, and now that Ted Lasso's back, we turned it back on. So there we go, and I'll put a center into that, and Miss Regina will get her first autumn card to just say hi. I'm sure she's got somebody special in mind that she can drop this in the mail to. All right, ladies. And is there any gentlemen? I don't think there's any gentlemen with us, but just in case. But also, even though this is sunflowers, your little leaves would be pretty. But I want them to have a little more color. All right. I will see you on Monday. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful weekend.